Hey everyone, hope you're having a wonderful day. Today I will be talking about set 4704 from LEGO Harry Potter, The Chamber of Winged Keys. The set was released in 2001 along with the initially released Harry Potter sets. 175 pieces featuring 2 to 3 minifigures depending on how you look at it. I'll say 3. So you get Harry, Ron, and the Queen from the Enchanted Chess sequence. Taking a look at the box art here, looks very nice. Have some mountains and trees in the background. Doesn't make, the most sense as this would be like underground within the castle, but I think in general the color scheme across these boxes was very aesthetically pleasing and nice in a way that it was, uniform as well throughout these sets. On the side here, you see Harry unlocking the door that goes into the chess room, and then Ron confronting the Queen, who's ready to strike him down. Other side of the box, you see Ron retrieving the key with the blue feathers on it, which is meant to represent like the correct key to use for the door. On the back of the box, you get a nice map up top of the various different sets released initially in 2001. As well as 2 alternate builds. So all of these boxes feature a Just Imagine and then 1 or 2 recreations of the pieces within the set to construct either reimaginings of what the structure could look like for the scene being enacted, or just kind of fun activities for the characters to participate in. I believe that looks to be the case here, rather than these trying to like directly recreate the actual tasks associated with the Chamber of Winged Keys or the chessboard room. Excited to take a stab at these after discussing the build itself. Instructions here, same cover as the box, of course, an advertisement for the LEGO Creator Harry Potter game on the back. The instructions actually don't feature the alternate builds. They end with the completed set itself. So if you don't have the box, you wouldn't have access to seeing what those look like. I've noticed throughout the different sets, some of them feature them at the end and others don't. But glad to have the box, courtesy of the Bricklink seller that I got this set off of, so that I can try this out for you all after discussing the set. I didn't have this set growing up, and remember I would look longingly, at the sets that I didn't have at the map that showed, all of the different sets. This one has a similar footprint to Snape's class, which I did have growing up, so I could kind of visualize, how much would be featured within this build. And when I got it, all these years later, as I, came out of the Dark Ages and back into my LEGO adventures, I did enjoy putting this together. And I think that inherent to the dimensions of the set are some trade-offs in terms of capturing the respective scenes featured. We'll start though with the minifigures, and we see Harry here, same Harry that we get in many of these initial sets. So he has stars under his cape, the Gryffindor seal. We see the same here with Ron Weasley, light gray wand for Ron. Not the most movie accurate hairpiece, but enjoyed this hairpiece for Ron growing up. I thought that it worked well for him. And then we also have the Queen of the chessboard. So this figure features a white dress piece, white torso, a white rod here, I guess more of a staff or a sword maybe, than a wand. And then instead of a minifigure headpiece, we see just this kind of standard LEGO piece used to represent a kind of slenderer head, which I think works well. We also can see some nice detailing on this chrome crown. There is a heart at the front. It's kind of hard to focus. Hopefully it's coming across there. So there is some nice detail on that crown for the Queen. This, would, I guess, be my favorite figure from the set, as, it's a unique one. We don't get Hermione in this set, although she would have been, in these scenes at this point in the movie. But you do get her in the kind of predecessor for this set, the Forbidden Corridor. I assume that it was kind of just due to budget constraints to not feature her within this one, but a little bit of a shame that you don't get the full trio. I feel like 9 times out of 10 these days, you would get, the full trio in depicting pivotal scenes like this within the movie. So we'll start with the titular Winged Keys room here. We see 2 flames on the ground and then one up top illuminating the winged keys. There is a broomstick clipped onto this piece here that, you can detach and give to Harry to fly around the room. We see, similar to some of the other sets within this wave, a cobweb with a spider, in this case a kind of trans neon green spider. This web could, fall over, take up most of the standing room. I think it looks best in this orientation upright. You have the door that goes onto the chessboard. So the idea of this set really is to open this, you have to identify, the correct key in order to open the door. Of course, any of these keys, could open the door, but they are designed a little bit differently. So this is the standard one, light gray with white wings. And then if you turn this set around, we'll see where the key that you need to find is hidden. So on this back one here, you get not just the light gray key, but this chrome key with blue feather. So that is to just highlight essentially that this is like the correct key to find to unlock the door. I believe in the film, it's described as the one with the broken wing, with Professor Quirrell having already, gone through the task before them. I'm fine though with just a recoloring of this piece rather than a broken wing unique mold. Suppose if you didn't care about conserving your Lego pieces properly, you could break it yourself without too much difficulty. I will not be doing that. But yeah, I enjoy the creativity that they leveraged here in translating a scene that's a little bit tricky to replicate within Lego, particularly at this time. Allows for, a good amount of destruction, which I think is always fun for kids. I was a little nervous, or had heard maybe complaints from some other reviewers that this set in its construction is a bit, unstable, and that these slide out fairly easily. My experience has not really been the case. I know this key just fell out, but these structures I think are actually, in picking this up and moving it around, I don't find that they fall out all the time. So I do think you need to give them a bit of a push, but nothing crazy to have them fall over. So that isn't really an issue for me. Another complaint I've heard about this set is that the space is just really bare. I understand that. I feel the same way, just if we're comparing this to other sets, whether it's Snape's Class, which, would have a lot of stuff on the floor here, or other sets, may feature more interior details. But I think particularly, when we have too many figures in here, when maybe they're examining some of these different keys, like, it fills up pretty quickly, and all the detail that was kind of intended to be presented here, they do execute. So for me, that it doesn't really bother me that much. I think that this task just is kind of inherently a little bit less decorative in its translation to Lego than some of the other ones, where you get, Devil Snare, or a three-headed dog, or a basilisk with a lot of, snake decorations, to name a few. That said, the chessboard room here, as I mentioned before, there is kind of an inherent trade-off in a set like this with the parameters that we have kind of for this system, where you have, a bigger room and then a smaller room. So the chessboard here is just 3 by 3 tiles, 2 by 2 tiles, but, three of them by 3. You have 2 flames, which is nice in illuminating the chess scene. and you just have the queen more posed as kind of a threat to the players, rather than the idea being that you would actually use these tiles to, you know, allow the figures to play their way across them. You don't really have that ability. Theoretically, you know, you could have had the winged keys like along the side of this tower and then had more tiles of the chessboard here. And then maybe you would rename the set. I think maybe this should have been a chess set primarily rather than the winged keys. But I don't know. I like what they've done here. I think at the end of the day, especially with like the broom, it's more exciting to have a minifigure fly around. You could have multiple people attacking, you know, minifigures with these, or I think the idea of trying to get the right key is a bit more fun here than just hopping on, you know, particular tiles. So I kind of like that we get the representation of the chessboard and the queen within this initial system. Ultimately, the decision to have that be kind of what you get less of and the winged keys to be the primary feature within this set was probably the right decision. You do also get one extra chrome key in the back here, which is nice. Not sure if that's largely intended to just be like, if you lose this one, you have another. But it's a really beautiful piece and not one that we really see anymore. So I'm very glad to, you know, have multiple of those within my kind of Lego arsenal now. Overall, I like this set. I'm happy to have it in my collection. I think it executes what it set out to do pretty decently with the limitations regarding, you know, the dimensions of the system look that it was going for at the time. I think that you could get quite a lot of play out of this set, and we would, you know, thankfully go on to get better representations of the chessboard. But in some ways, I think that this was maybe the best representation of the winged keys room that we've still had to date. I like that they did, you know, highlight this scene with some fun features, and back in the day, maybe creating chaos, you know, kind of with your Lego set had a little bit more appeal or was seen as a little more valid. Whereas today, we want play features to be rooted in like building complexity and, you know, the ability to turn something and then have it, you know, revert back to where it was before. So I think in some ways, the appeal to the set may be a little lost to time for some people, but I do enjoy it. I think it's a solid entry within the initial 2001 sets. And I'm excited to now take a stab at these two alternate builds. All right, first alternate build is complete. And I had a lot of fun putting this together. This is an alternate build that features a good amount of storytelling to it, which I quite enjoy. So we see there's a pathway for minifigures to walk up. They then theoretically need to leap onto these monkey bars and swing over the pit of fire to then land, grab a key, and open the door. So I think that this is a very, very fun reimagining of, you know, what a challenge could have potentially looked like. Enjoy the use of the spider here. You could close this up if you would like. This was not too difficult to put together, just looking at the box. Improvised a little bit here and there, but think that I stayed true to what the image showed. And I think all in all, this may actually be my, maybe in my top 3 of the alternate builds I've made so far. I really enjoy these builds that allow the minifigures to play out kind of like a journey that isn't necessarily canonical to the story, but kind of fits the vibe of the theme and incorporates the most notable like pieces from the set itself. So A+ on this one. All right, here we have the second alternate build. You can see on the box art, it's a bit cut off in certain angles, so this one was a little trickier to put together, but I think I did a decent job. Have essentially Ron trapped in the chamber below here, so the spider web is keeping him from exiting on one end, and then the locked door on the other. This area kind of ran out of 1x1s there, so I wasn't really able to connect it, but you know, I think it looks okay. On the top, we have the Queen's crown from the chessboard. We have some of these winged keys affixed to the top of the structure, like how we use 4 flames on each end of the turret here. And then Harry is pictured just kind of flying on the box, so I attached him to the key, which pretty surprised by the strength here. These keys do not, you know, go in that far into those pieces, so that Harry is able to hold on is kind of a testament to, I guess, the strength of Lego pieces. Enjoy this build. I think I preferred the other one a bit more, but I like the story being told here as well, you know, again, using these winged keys in various different ways with, you know, the goal of unlocking a door to achieve, you know, an end, in this case, to free Ron. So pretty fun alternate builds included in this set. Glad that I got a chance to try them out. Overall, I do enjoy this set. I do think that there were probably some stronger sets within these 2001 initial releases, but hopefully this video has, you know, provided you with a sense of what was available here, some of the charm featured within this set. I think that's about all that I have to say about the Chamber of Winged Keys, but hope that you enjoyed this video, and thanks for watching.